Great.
And we're back here on A Mighty Blaze. Welcome to the 2 o'clock installment of A Mighty Blaze. I'm Robin Kall, your host of Reading with Robin. I always feel the need to do a flourish behind me. And my guest is Martha McPhee. And it's pub day, right?
Well, actually last week was pub day officially, but this is also pub day.
The new pub day.
Yeah, the new pub day.
The new June 2nd, because last week, that's right, we moved everything. And Emily Liebert and I were just talking about that, but I wasn't 100% confident. So
yeah, no.
To everybody out there, the book's been out a week, but it's new to you, unless it isn't, in which case, lucky you. It's An Elegant Woman, and my guest is Martha McPhee. And Martha, thank you so much for sending me a signed copy.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure. When the signed copies, you should know these are all signed.
Oh.
I cannot part with signed books. I can't part with books in general, but when they're signed, I especially don't. So these are some of my favorite signed books.
Beautiful, beautiful backdrop.
She's going afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So thank you. And let me give a brief intro. Visit marthamcphee.com you have a fabulous website, an incredible story, and inspired by An Elegant Woman is inspired by your story. So Martha is the author of the novels Bright Angel Time, Gorgeous Lies, L'America, and Dear Money, right?
Yes, Dear Money.
I think it's time for some
glasses.
It might be, but I could read like this. She's the recipient of a National Endowment for the Arts grant and a fellowship from John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation. Gorgeous Lies was a finalist for the National Book Award. She teaches fiction at Hofstra University and lives in New York City and is now not in New York City and family. And welcome to A Mighty Blaze, Martha McPhee.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited when I heard about this and received this book. And look at this cool cover, which says so much. I mean, it's just that mirror and just reflection and all of, just the ongoing cycle of this family. So I love it. And I just, on a personal note, my mother attended Hofstra. So it's a special place in my heart. I'll send you a picture later. I have some of her textbooks. Hofstra book cover from the 60s.
That's fabulous.
I wonder if it's changed much.
I think a little bit.
A little bit. When I saw Hofstra, though, I was like,
I love it. I love teaching there. Great students.
Currently, we were talking about Zoom. Is the school still in session or no?
No, we're done. We finished in early May, but we were on Zoom from mid-March, basically. And I've got to say, I'll never forget this class of students. They were so fabulous and so, transitioned really easily and were so, motivated to do their work. Writing, it was a perfect time to be writing something. So we had a good time.
Yeah, congratulations to the class of 2020.
Yeah.
I think, and I always think of Elle Woods, we did it, but I don't know what I was thinking of. A school still in session. Like, I don't know what day it is, what month it is. Obviously college ends in May. So like, what was I thinking?
It's true. It's true. Though it's weird how
summer sessions or
there are summer sessions, but I don't teach them. I don't know if they even do creative writing too much in the summer.
Yeah. So. But yeah, to have to pivot like that and especially like we were talking about the seniors and not the way you think that your senior is going to go, who could have anticipated, but so much creativity and just seeing the larger picture and really ambitious kids. No one wants this to happen, but I'll be really curious to watch what comes from that. And
it made me think that creativity should be, and creative writing, my thing, should be a core competency, because you had to think really nimbly and fast and outside the box to make this work.
Absolutely. And along with that, all of the things that will come from this and the changes and additions and subtractions. So you could be on the charge. You could be the one to start the movement of adding that in as core
Yeah.
You're now on the head of the committee, Martha.
Thank you.
Suggestion. You are now. I'm loving the backdrop of, I don't know where you are. Well, I know where you are, but like, I love those photographs and the framed pictures and the light behind you. It's beautiful setup.
Thank you. So this is the Zoom room. But it's also the bedroom where I'm sleeping. And as it happens, you know, because I'm very straightforward about it. The book is based, the jumping off point for An Elegant Woman is my grandmother's life. And at the end of her life, she lived here in this room, and we call it Grammy's room still. And until I came down in March, her clothes were still in the closet. There were so many ancestors on the wall. I had to take a few of them down. But that's who's behind me there.
The ones that you wanted behind you, like, how did you decide who this one goes?
Well, I took a lot of the people that are still living off, down and put them somewhere else. And I also didn't really take down the ones that were on the wall, more the ones that were on the furniture. And it was hard to dust, and it gets dusty here. But I left my grandmother's dry rot beaver skin coat. It's finished, but it's still here, and 2 opera coats in the closet.
Wow. So like that is, I mean, and you come right out with it and talk about the inspiration for the book and your grandmother. So you would have had no way to know that you would be kicking off your book tour in Grammy's room.
Zero idea. Is that hysterical? That's really funny to put it like that.
That's what I do.
Off the
to its essence, but like that is really amazing. It's one thing to be in a special space like that for a book tour. I mean, in an ideal world, you'd be out touring, but that you're there with the ancestors you've chosen to leave up or Grammy's coat. I mean, that's, Martha, that's wild. Did you write like a piece about that? Like an ancestor?
And I haven't yet, but I've got to. I will.
As a creative writing coach, I would suggest, no, I'm kidding.
No, it's a good one. I mean, the novel opens in the basement that's here, with all the trunks and all the junk. And so yeah, it's interesting to be here and to have, I feel in this room, I actually do feel embraced by my grandmother. Like she's right here with me, along with her mother, who's on the wall behind me over there somewhere. Yeah. And yeah, it's nice. And my mother has dementia, and she comes into this room and she'll see her brother on the wall and herself as a girl, and suddenly she remembers. So that's lovely too. That's why I wouldn't take these pictures. I mean, one of the reasons why I wouldn't take the pictures down.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I definitely see a piece about, or pieces like more. I mean, it's not enough that you wrote An Elegant Woman for all of us to read, but then I'm always imagining those other pieces that just like, you just are like, wait, that, and there's more. I mean, the whole story really, and go to marthamcphee.com, and there's under the bio, and there's pictures of your family and talking about your story. And I just want to go back to a second about the trunk and the junk and all of that, because I always think about, they're treasures to some, or things that we keep, and what will people think of them one day, or like, why did she keep this? Or do you think about that with your own things? Because it's really
I do.
odd.
It's interesting because I am not a saver. I don't really like to save. And I recently, in the past couple of years in New York, I had a lot of stuff from my grandmother, that the melodeon that had been around the horn twice, and various things of hers, and rugs. And I decided I just couldn't take it anymore. And it was all ratty, and it wasn't even that good. It was sort of Victorian, and it was the stories that were good. So I sent the melodeon down here, and I threw out the rug. I rolled it out, and no church would actually take it or store, because it was just too big. So I gave it to the super, and we were like jamming it into the elevator. And I thought, oh my God, my grandmother would just be so mad at me, her treasured rug. And then I went and bought myself a new beautiful rug and some beautiful mid-century furniture, and just, I had to start over. And then I do look around sometimes. It's spectacularly beautiful, in my opinion. And I think, what are my kids gonna do with this? Like, are they gonna
Yeah,
you want this, and it doesn't mean anything either. It's like mom's midlife crisis.
Mom's midlife crisis is very meaningful. Do not discount the furor with which a mother will have a midlife crisis. And also, I'm just picturing me in the book, an elegant woman, and I'm picturing the rug, like you're saying, being jammed, and like the value of things, and when we're acquiring them, the meaning behind them, or why it was important or passed down, and then what it's and the enjoyment that she got really is the importance, and then looking at things and remembering them when you're a child and why that is reminiscent of a certain time and what that means. It's so fascinating to me what things, what value things hold. And if you remember the stories too that are passed down from a family member of why something was so important, and then somebody else looks at it and goes, oh, or like, we can't hold on to everything. And that's like a recurring obsession I have. So I loved reading about this on Martha, and follow Martha on all social channels, and find her on, again, marthamcphee.com. And so now this is your fifth book?
Fifth, yep.
Fifth. So now, fifth book, a story that you took from your family, your grandmother's story, your family story. So was this something that it had to be the right time to write this? Was it something you always thought, like, this is a story, I need to tell this?
It's definitely a story, because she when my first memories are of her instructing me on how to be a better person in a way, but not in a bad way. She didn't do that in a bad way, but just, you have to wear your undershirts. She'd pay me $1 to wear my undershirts. You have to, you have to, I sucked my finger. You have to stop sucking your finger. And she was so determined to get me to stop sucking. She tried iodine, that didn't work. She wrapped in bandages, that didn't work. She just tried every trick. I had to, be a good girl. And but she also was telling so many stories about the family, and they were stories about women doing incredible heroic things, crossing the Allegheny Mountains with 7 children in tow because the husband died in Libby prison during the Civil War, and she was a Yankee in the South and had to get to Ohio to her husband's family. And so these stories, my great grandmother Glenna going west with her 2 young girls because of her philandering husband, and then there were bigger stories that we were descended from Mary Queen of Scots and the Royal Storts of Nairn, and we were heir to Buster Brown. Everything had like a shard of possible truth, but some things were true, like Glenna, but many of the Royal Storts of Nairn weren't true. And so it was a story I always wanted to tell, because I knew she was telling me something about these women, and she was telling me also something about time and about generations and about our place here and as a family. But I didn't have the vocabulary or the intelligence to tell it earlier. I needed to become older, and so that's why it's number 5. I wanted to do it from the moment I started writing. But I
can only imagine to have such a rich history, and there's nothing like a grandmother telling stories and sharing either overtly or subtly the way to be. It's just that once removed relationship, one generation removed, not once, I know my relationship with my grandmother. Just today, I was driving with a cup of coffee in my car, which I shouldn't do, a mug. She would, and I don't do this, but it's not the safest thing, but she would balance it on the dashboard.
Ooh, yeah, right.
She could drive down the LA like that, no problem. And mine doesn't stay, I have a little cup place. But anyway, I think of her all the time, and all of the stories, and how many things that I do with her in mind, and how would she react to something. So I love that. And also really strong women. We have a very long and storied history in our family too. Very strong, amazing what the women did. And I am so drawn to those types of stories, and learning about some of these journeys, just the magnitude. My great grandmother was 15, like alone on a boat coming to America, like at 15, you barely let a 15-year-old go to the corner. Exaggerate.
No, but they didn't have a lot of options necessarily, especially in this country. And they had to be they had to be savvy and smart, and my grandmother was, and it was her you know, her real story, her, that I knew about her childhood, that really got me going. The idea that she basically raised herself and her little sister in Montana by them, you know, their mother would leave them for long stretches of time, and that she did what she had to do to get out, you know, grow up and get out of there. And I found that, you know, and if lying along the way was part of what made it happen, then so be it. But I was very, very interested in women's lives in this story. The characters are primarily female. There are one or two men. There aren't a lot of men. And that was also just because it was naturally the way in which my grandmother would tell the stories. And then my mother had 5 daughters. So I also was surrounded by women growing up, girls and women.
And I was looking at some of the pictures. I mean, talk about the People magazine story. I mean, talk about the family that I was like, I remembered that cover too, actually, because we were.
With Marlon Brando. You know, what was funny was that my stepfather, so that's a whole different, you know, that's not part of this novel. But but it's true. When that came out in the 70s or 72, I think, or 73, we all thought at first blush that it was our stepfather, because he actually looked a lot like Marlon Brando. So it was fun.
Yeah, so go to marthamcphee.com and you'll know what we're talking about, and read the story. It was, you've got a great website. There's just such richness, and it's fascinating because other people's stories are, you know, sometimes we don't think our own are, but it sounds like you have a unique family generationally, and really sort of finding out about ourselves through our ancestors, you know, really putting that together. I mean, so what are some of the things that you borrowed, and how, you know, what are some of the similarities that you share with your grandmother?
With some of so, you know, the starting off point was really my grandmother's life, and it took me a long time to figure out how to incorporate the first person narrator with the third person narrator, and how to have the first person narrator sort of embody the stories of the grandmother and make them third person fictional stories. But once I figured that out, my imagination could take over. So it's like form in poetry, perhaps, that you know, you have the structure of you know, of what happened, what your grandmother's told you, and then you can go inside it and unleash your imagination. So there's a lot that's, you know, that's invented from research, and I did a lot of research because I didn't know what it was like to live in Montana. You know, my grandmother told me all these stories, but they were really like breadcrumbs that I was following to learn about women's lives in the middle of, you know, in the 1910s to 1920s, where the sort of novel starts. And it was an interesting time because people were going to Montana to populate it for the railroads. The railroads were actually importing people, and there was the Enlarged Homestead Act of 1909 that allowed people to get 365 acres or so, and if they could prove up within 5 years, and this is that they got to keep the land, and this is what drew my great grandmother out there. She didn't want to prove up. She could have taken a claim, but she didn't believe in that the land was going to be more than just desert. So she didn't do it. She would taught instead.
Oh, wow. So, and your grandmother, did you know your great grandmother, or? No,
she died in 1947. But, you know, I heard so many stories from, she was all over my grandmother's house. She's right over there somewhere. She feels very, very real to me, but also sort of like a fictional character. And in fact, in the novel, the first half of the novel that has to do with, you know, very much my grandmother's childhood, I used all their same names. I didn't even change them because they were like fictional characters to me. And my grandmother, through all her storytelling, seemed to be trying to turn herself into a myth and a legend. So I felt like I didn't need to change her name.
I love that. And also there's the, the idea of what we leave out of our stories. There's the stories we tell, and it sounds like it's up to the next generations to sort of, like you say, you got breadcrumbs, figure it out. So now you have 4 sisters. What does everybody think of, the book? And you will know the stories differently, or were you the one most paying attention?
I think I was the one that was most paying attention, and next was my sister Laura, my oldest sister, and we're going to do an event together at the Harvard bookstore where we're going to be in conversation on June 25th, which is my birthday.
Oh,
and
great. So it's online, obviously.
It'll be online, it'll be virtual, but my sister Laura is a brilliant photographer. We're all artists, in one form or another. But Laura is a photographer. My mother was a photographer, and my father is a writer. And so we have these, we both pursued what our parents did. And so she is right now working on a project where she's going around the West to all the places that my great-grandmother Glenna taught. Oh. And she's taking photographs of these little towns. And so I haven't seen the work yet, but she is just a brilliant photographer. So I can't wait to see it. I also can't wait to speak to her about, how we are taking the same material and doing something really very different with it.
That is such a cool take. I love that you each are embodying the story in your own way, and then you're doing this event together. I have 2 sisters, so I'm always drawn to the sister narrative. And so that's June 25th. On Martha McPhee's birthday at the Harvard bookstore. Online now. Had this been normal world, I would have been there because it's just right there, an hour away. And I can't wait to tune into that. So I will try and remember and jot it down and share it with A Mighty Blaze and the Reading with Robin gang. And it's An Elegant Woman by Martha McPhee, and it's out just a week. And so what are you hearing from readers?
Great things. You asked about my sisters, and I was the most nervous about them because I want them to think I'm wonderful. I'm the little sister too, I'm almost the littlest sister. But they loved it, and that means so much to me because they're so smart, and I just love their opinions. So that they loved this book means the world. But I'm just hearing great things. I had this most stunning LA Times review that was like a writer's dream, because it looked at basically my whole career. So it looked at me, looked at what I'm doing. I just loved that. And this sort of trying to climb up the social ladder in the last 3 books. I hadn't even really thought that that's what I'd been doing, but it is, and it makes sense, and it's something that it's a subject that's very interesting to me. And then since I last published, which was a long time ago, 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There weren't. Amazon did some online readers reviews, and ordinary people like review, but now that seems much more prevalent, and people are doing that. And I just am fascinated. There are beautiful reviews out there of the book.
Readers, and I always encourage readers to go to Amazon and Goodreads and leave a wonderful review for writers. It's a really important thing to do, and I always say, it's the least you could do. The author has written the book, so just take some time and go over to Amazon, and there are a lot of very thoughtful reviews. And I love that. I'm going to look up the LA Times piece, because seeing your career reflected, and reading it, I'm like going, oh wow, they totally got that. I didn't think that. What, this is really great. I mean,
it was really great, and it was long. I was actually running out the door to go food shopping for my dad, because he lives right down the road, and I food shop for him and my stepmother. And the review came, and the agent said, congratulations. So I thought it would just be, a quick review. I'd read it, but it kept going on and on and on. I was waiting for the bad stuff to happen, and it never did. And it was really nice.
It's all good stuff, and I'm so excited. And I was thrilled that we got in touch about this, and that I was able to bring An Elegant Woman to A Mighty Blaze. And visit marthamcphee.com and check out the LA Times piece, and June 25th at the Harvard bookstore with her sister. So you haven't seen the photographs yet?
No, I cannot wait to see them. I haven't. We're going to have a Zoom session where I get to see them, and I guess she can share them virtually as well. So
yeah, don't ask me. That's over my pay grade. You can share. Yeah, you can share the screen, and she can show you.
right.
And yeah, and I think that one of the things too about working here and enjoying the Mighty Blaze and all of the interviews is they're going far and wide. I mean, there's so many readers finding out, hearing more and more from authors. Maybe people don't get out to an author event. Maybe people don't pick up the paper as much or read reviews, but they're just hungry for content, and the books are getting out there even more, which makes me really happy. And I was posting this morning that you were going to be on, like, oh, let me see. And then people were looking up other books, and then they go back, and then, you know, so I'm so excited that we could be connected here like this, and in Grammy's room.
In Grammy's room with her opera coats in the closet.
I would ask you to get up and model one, but I wouldn't do that to you. I have been known to do that sort of thing. I'm like, I want to see.
Look, I'm going to show you the opera coat. Yeah, I am. Why not? It's right here.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Nothing like putting somebody on the spot. Oh, you really are in the bedroom.
I really am in the bedroom.
Well, yeah. I believed you, but I didn't see all the fluffy pillows. Oh my goodness.
She's a little bit bigger than I am. But
that is dazzling.
This is the opera coat. And I went to the opera with her. We saw Lohengrin, 5 acts, and she fell asleep in the first, but she was wearing this.
Oh my God, I love it. And I love the, is that like turquoise inside of the pink there?
Yes. Yes.
That's gorgeous. Oh,
it really is pretty. So who could throw that away? But I can't wear it because it's way too big for me.
You have it tailored? So
maybe something could happen that way. It's true.
Absolutely. Are you kidding? That pink, gorgeous turquoise thing?
You're right.
Yes, of course I am.
Been here so many years, no one's taken it, so she's not coming back for it.
Oh my, it's gorgeous. I mean, that's exquisite.
Yeah, it is pretty.
I'm imagining the paperback version with that.
Oh.
Right? Or just the back of it, or with something. I love it. It's shockingly that color.
And she had this snow white hair, and she was very beautiful. She wasn't beautiful as a younger woman, but as she got older, she became just very beautiful. And so it was a startling contrast, the white hair and the bright pink coat. She looked very elegant.
Imagine an elegant woman, and just the strength and the beauty and this, you know, like you say, telling a story here or there, doing what you got to do. And it's Martha McPhee's An Elegant Woman. Now, was this always the title? Because it would seem the most perfect title.
You know, I started thinking about the title in 2016 when my mother was having hip replacement surgery and was in the hospital. And I came to help her walk one day, visit her. And she already had dementia, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. And she was in a silk robe, and she was walking down the corridors of this hospital that seemed to only have men. And I said, you know, I'm thinking of something like elegant people, because that's what they wanted in Montana. The railroads wanted to populate with elegant people. And my mother said, how about An Elegant Woman? And she was always so helpful with my work. And so that after she said that, there was no going back.
It says so much. And I love that she's the one that said it to you like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing so much, and for taking out Grammy's opera coat. And
my pleasure.
Take a screenshot of that and remind you that that's your paperback. It's Martha McPhee. Go to marthamcphee.com, An Elegant Woman. And again, I'm going to look up the link for the LA Times piece and also the June 25th event with your sister at Harvard Bookshop, bookstore, whatever, online. And yeah, I can't, bookshop, bookstore, you know, where you guys know what I'm talking about, at Harvard. And thank you so much for joining us here on A Mighty Blaze, and congratulations with all of the wonderful praise for An Elegant Woman.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really great to speak with you.
Such a pleasure, such a treat. And I will say goodbye to the Facebook crowd.
Thank you.
Continue to stay here on A Mighty Blaze. There's more fun coming up.